Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So a lot of people are struggling with ants, pests, fungus, mold, and of course now when we are getting into the monsoon season, fungus and mold is going to be a very common occurrence in your pots, especially if you have a very organic soil. So the best way to tackle is with the help of cinnamon powder. I call this as the magic powder because it tends to work as wonders. Now there are so many benefits of cinnamon powder. Starting off with, it is basically organic. It does not have any chemicals. So whether you have kids, pets, anyone around, if you have this in the soil mix, it is not going to harm them because it is not chemical. But yes, if the powder enters in the eyes, it might be a big trouble. So ensure that you're not keeping this powder just openly around. Keep it in an airtight container. The powder, if it comes in contact with the eyes, can burn a lot because in the end of the day, this is a spice. Now, another best thing about cinnamon powder is that it is antifungal. It has antifungal properties. If you have wild mushrooms growing in your pots, a pinch of cinnamon powder, sprinkle it on the mushroom, and the next day itself the mushroom will start to die. So be very careful. If you are a person who's growing edible mushrooms, do not use cinnamon powder around that vicinity. Otherwise your edible mushrooms will also start to die because cinnamon powder does not know it is edible or it is just regular fungus that's growing or mold that is growing. It will kill everything. Another best thing about cinnamon powder, it is a natural rooting hormone. It also helps to dry the cuts if you are cutting or if you're doing a stem cutting. If you put a little bit of cinnamon powder on the cut, it will start to heal and dry faster. So that also tends to work out really well. Now there are two methods of application. One is you can mix it with water, or you can just sprinkle it dry. I will show you both the methods because the water method is a little bit time consuming, so it all depends upon how much of time I have. I kind of at times do the water method, or at times I do the sprinkling directly onto the soil. Both of the methods tend to work out really well. Again, it all depends upon how much of time you have for all this, because when you are going to add water to cinnamon powder, it is going to take a while for it to kind of dilute in water. Again, it won't be diluted completely, so you have to be extremely careful that you do not put it in a spray bottle or you do not put it in a misting bottle, because there are going to be a lot of these fragments that are going to be floating. This will block the nozzle, so you have to be extremely careful. You can directly use it. What I tend to do is I have this DIY bottle that I tend to use. I first ensure that everything is mixed very well. Now I think somebody had asked me whether boiling of the cinnamon powder is going to work out really well. Yes, you can boil it as well. There is no harm in that. If you have enough time, you can boil it and then let the solution cool, and then you can use it in your pots. But I prefer to go with this method. So it is going to take a while. So let me finish this mixing up. It has to be completely mixed until you don't see any of those lumps in the solution. We have to keep mixing it. So give me a minute. I'll finish this up and I'm going to show it to you. So now pretty much all the lumps have got dissolved. If you want, you can use a little bit of lukewarm water, but ensure that when you're going to be using it in the soil, the water should be room temperature. It should not be too cold or it should not be too hot or warm. So once everything has been mixed, I will use it in this bottle. Now I have used around 2 spoons of it, and this I'm not very sure what's the measurement of this, and it's okay. You can make it however you want. Just ensure that it's not too strong. Now there is already water present in this, so I'm going to mix this up and I'm going to add in a little bit more water. So here is some more water. Now even if your solution looks like this color, very light, it's absolutely okay. You do not need to make it too strong. This was just an example in this bottle that I was trying to show you. I usually do not do it in this glass. I directly put it in this and I give a good shake for this bottle, and then I use it in the succulent soil mix. So now that we are done, if it's a very light mix, it's absolutely okay. If the color of the water looks slightly light brown, that is absolutely okay. You do not need to make it very strong. Again, I'll give it a good stir, and now let's go and give this water to our succulents. So here I have my succulents lined up. I will start giving this water. As you can see, pretty simple. Again, the same thing guys, you have to water until the water starts passing through the drain hole. So I'm just giving you an example. I'm not doing a complete watering, but you have to water it until the water starts passing through the drain hole. Now, even for arrangements as well, you can use this. That's the reason why I prefer a very thin nozzle, so it can enter very easily into the arrangements and start watering it. So in this way, we will start watering all of our pots. Again guys, as I said, you have to do a complete watering. This is just an example that I'm giving you how well this tends to work out. So please do not use a misting bottle for this. The fragments of the cinnamon, because they still, even after diluting it, they do have a lot of particles that will clog the misting bottle or the spray bottle. So it's always advisable to go with any bottle like this and then water them. Now this, as I said, you just do it once in a year and you think that everything is going to get all right. Cinnamon powder is organic. Organic things take a little bit of time for it to show results. Apart from that, this has to be done either once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, or even once a month. It's absolutely okay. Now during the monsoon season, I do not mix it with water because already a lot of the soil is wet. So during the monsoon season, I go with the second step, which is just sprinkling of the dry cinnamon powder on the soil. So I'm going to show you that method as well. Now the sprinkling of dry cinnamon powder is one of my favorite because you don't need to do much. You just need a pinch of it. That's about it. And then just start sprinkling on the top layer of soil like this. Very, very simple. I don't know if it was visible in this video clip. So I don't know if it was visible because the sand color is such that the cinnamon powder is not even visible when I'm sprinkling it on the soil, but this is how you do it. I think I'll show it to you on this. Over here the soil is a little bit darker. I think this is going to be a better example because the soil is already dark. So you take a pinch of the cinnamon powder and just take it around and just sprinkle it like this. That's about it. This is more than enough for your succulent and to keep the pests, bugs, mold, fungus, you name it, and it's going to take care of it. As I said, it has antifungal properties. It is a pest repellent. Also tends to smell very sweet. It has a very sweet aroma. We all know how cinnamon tends to smell. Okay, I shouldn't even call it a smell. It's basically aroma. So we all know how fragrant cinnamon is, and it also gives a very sweet smell. So that's all about it, guys. It's pretty simple. So as I said, you can go with any one of the method. You can even do the sprinkling method, or if you want, you can mix it in water and put. Even if you have, let's say if you have put the dry cinnamon powder on the soil, after that you can go ahead and do a watering. And whenever you tend to water, the cinnamon powder that is present on the upper layer of soil will start to kind of get absorbed into the soil. So it will kind of get diluted and automatically get into the soil. So you can go with any one of the option, especially for people who have kept the succulents outdoor and it is very windy. A lot of times sprinkling of the cinnamon powder on the upper layer of soil, it might happen to get blown off with the wind or with the breeze. So after that you can just do a little bit of watering. Now guys, again the same thing, you have to ensure that the soil is completely bone dry. So before you water your bone dry soil, you can sprinkle some cinnamon powder and then do a complete watering. Please don't water if your soil is not dry. Just because you are adding cinnamon powder doesn't mean that the soil should not be completely bone dry. The soil has to be completely bone dry. Otherwise, in the process of getting rid of fungus and mold, you might end up overwatering your succulent and killing it. So the thumb rule remains the same. The soil has to be completely bone dry. Then you can sprinkle some cinnamon powder on the upper layer of soil and do a complete watering until the water starts passing through the drain hole. So in this way, the cinnamon powder will also get into the soil and help the root area. If in case there is anything in the roots, hiding into the roots, or probably some mealybugs in the root area, this is definitely going to take care of it. And this is what I have been doing on a regular basis. As I said, doing this once in a year and expecting it to have results is not going to work out. This has to be done on a regular basis. So whichever tends to work out really well. I will also add a little bit of water on this because otherwise cinnamon is going to fly off because of the amount of breeze and wind that I have over here. So guys, that's all about it. This is how I have been working with cinnamon powder in my garden. It works out really well for your succulents as well as for foliage plants as well, because in foliage plants we do have a lot of organic matter. So in order to keep the pests, ants, fungus, mold in control, the cinnamon powder will work out really well for your foliage plants as well. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.